Okay, geographers, the first lab you're going to be dealing with this week, well, it's one of two that have to do with climate. The other one's going to be about climate change, whereas this one will be looking at modern climates, what climate should be based on historical patterns. And we'll be getting into this also in the lecture component of the class. So if you've taken the lecture class already, you've heard this spiel. You should hopefully retain the difference between weather and climate and what climate is and climate change and that kind of stuff. And if not, do a little Googling. Or if you're currently in the lecture class, or if you just want to watch this stuff, those lectures are, for the most part, up in that class. So I'll be talking about, I have the lecture, I think it's called just Modern Climates. It's looking at the climate regions, it's looking at this stuff that you're going to be working with, dealing with in this lab. So feel free to watch that, get a sense of what's going on there if it's fuzzy, or if you haven't learned this stuff yet. All right, and then there are a few on climate change as well, so you can watch those and know what's going on there. Okay, but for this lab, I'm just going to point out some key things. I'm going to show you, like I did with some of the other ones. I'm going to go through and give you the first one, first thing you need to do, and then you're going to be in charge of the rest of it, right? And honestly, with this lab, once you do the first one of these or the first two of these things, you're good. You are set. It should be no problem. All right. So with this, as always, read through everything. We're going to be working with this the Kirpin system right here, which I don't even fully explain. Like, it doesn't take that much to fully explain, but I discuss in that Modern Climates lecture. Pretty straightforward, as you'll see throughout this lab. And read through your textbook. There's some description stuff there. Also, Wikipedia has a big page on this. You can probably find YouTube videos continuing to explain it. So a lot of references are out there, right? Just so you at least have the gist of what Kirpin system is actually all about. So go ahead and read through. I'm not going to answer 1 and 2 for you. You should be able to figure that stuff out. I will say, I'll give you a clue. Number 2 here, what we're getting at in asking you this question, it's maybe less, what just naturally just comes forth in your brain. If I say tropical or polar or whatever, think about what these words mean in terms of latitude. Like mid-latitude, it's clear, it's in the name, but what does tropical mean from a latitude standpoint? What does polar mean from a latitude standpoint? And then try to connect that to climate. All right, and you'll also learn in the class, so you've heard about it before, latitude and climate interconnected, and we'll get into the why of that in the lecture class. Okay, so that's, just read through this stuff, as I said. Answer this as thoroughly as possible. And then to explain this, I'm actually going to jump over here to page 5 and show you this climograph right here. And this is what you're going to be doing. This first one is done for you. You're going to be taking data. All the data come from this table down here, and you're going to be plotting it on this very specific type of chart. I call it climograph. You're going to be answering some stuff here, and then based on all of this, you should have enough information now to be able to figure out what kind of climate region is this place. So we're doing Palmdale to start with. So based on Kirpin's system, what kind of climate classification does Palmdale have? Right? That's the idea. So with this chart, we have a few key things. Number one, on the bottom here, the J, and then over to the D, these are, if it's not clear, the months of the year, right? So January, February, March, April, May, and so on. So that's what we're looking at here. On this left side, we have degrees Fahrenheit, and on this right side, we have inches, okay? And we're just to keep it simple as well as to have it actually mean something to you American students. Everything is kept in the American or imperial unit of measurement. If we're doing actual weather and climate stuff, it'll all be, millimeters, centimeters, degrees Celsius, that kind of stuff. But let's be honest, very few of you are on the path to being climatologists or meteorologists. Go figure. Being a weather scientist isn't as sexy as some of the other stuff that you guys sign up for. So we're just going to keep it in these units, to make it make sense. Okay? So degrees Fahrenheit here, and then inches over here. Now this first thing we'll look at is this blue line that's doing this kind of bell curve shape right there. This is the measurement for its temperature as it's been measured for this specific location. So for Palmdale, this refers to the temperature, and what we're specifically referring to is this normal daily temperature. Okay, so you can see January right here. We've got a dot right there. The normal daily temperature for January. And so this is taking, averages throughout the month and making it into some kind of easy to compare metric, right? That's why we're doing it this way. It's 45.1, and so this point is at 45.1, as close as you can get to it, right? And then the next one for February, 49.1, put a little point there, right? And we'll just go through the year plotting these points, and then when you get to December, just draw a line connecting this stuff. Right? That's what's been done for you, but this is what you'll be doing in the following ones. Okay, so it all comes from this normal daily thing. And so you can see January through February, blah, 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 all the way here. And then in this last column, that 61.6, that's just the total, or the average, not the total, the average of these temperatures throughout the year, right? Where we're averaging the average, effectively. You can ignore this one over here. All you need to do for what we're doing here is just plot these guys, okay? Then this bar graph, the red bar graph that you see at the bottom, same concept, except now we're measuring precipitation, okay? For the most part, rain in a place like Palmdale, right? So for January, we had 1.23 inches of precipitation fall. So we mark, and remember, you're looking over here, so 1.23. Again, as best you can with this stuff. And then 1.29, mark that there, 1.13, mark that there, and so on throughout the year, right? So we're just mapping that. And then this one, this last little cell right here, that's 6.92, that's the total precipitation for the year. Okay, so throughout the year, if we add all of these up, they'll equal 6.92 inches. Okay, that's the idea. That's what's mapped right here. Okay, now based on this, with this stuff here, either from here or down here, we're going to fill out this information. So like with place right there, it's simply you're going to copy down Palmdale, right? Flat long. You're going to copy this stuff right here. Write it again up here. Elevation, 2,596. Write that right there. Okay, so you're simply copying that stuff. Then when we get to temperatures, warmest month and mean, you're going to look to your climograph. It's much easier to do all this if you fill out the actual graph first and then start to answer the questions, right? So warmest month mean, you look to the top of your bell curve, right here. Okay, and so we scroll down here, that's going to be July, and so you would write warmest month would be July, and then I also want the number here, right, which would be 80.7 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and if you aren't sure, maybe you can't tell like which was it between these two, just look, do that extra half a second of work to say, okay, yeah, that in August it was 79.7. Okay, it's got to be July, right? Coldest month, same deal. You're going to be looking, over here, figuring out, is it January, is it December, which one was the actual coldest month, and then what's the actual number, right? With precipitation, annual total is going to come from here, right? So that work has been done, 6.29 inches. Wettest month and amount, you're again going to refer to your climograph, figure out which month it was, and it might with something like this, you might have to keep referring back if some of these are so close. It looks like it's February here, so you'd write February 1.29 inches, driest month. It's going to be one of these guys here in the summer, right? So you're going to write that month and the number, okay? Once you've done all of that stuff, now you're ready to actually figure out what is the climate region for my city, okay? In this case, Palmdale. And so to figure that out, you have a flow chart here. If we go back to the third page, you've got this step 1, all right? Find the major climate group. And so and with Kirpin's system, which will be clear as you read through here, it's anywhere from 1 to 3 letters, okay? It's this, code, effectively, and each letter tells you something specifically about the climate. So right here, you're going to figure out your first letter, okay? And you're going to have to just read through and think logically about this stuff. I see on my monitor, it's kind of zooming in and out and trying to focus. Sorry if this is hurting your eyeballs. It's not the greatest camera, sorry. So with this, go through some of these, it will be impossible for your California city to, be certain ones simply based on what these things mean. Okay? And you'll be asked a question previously, like which of these letters will you never have to deal with? And once you figure that out, that'll be great because okay, it can't be this or that, right? It'll speed up your time. But as you're going through here, just read through, think about what these things are, read carefully. There's some clues, not too subtle clues in here, but you're going to figure out which of these letters best describes your city, okay? And again, cross out the ones that it will never be if we're just dealing with California, okay? Then, once you've figured this stuff out, let's say, it's whatever, A, B, C, D, any of these things, come down here to step 2. So if you decided it's A or C or D to start with, you're going to just go right here and deal with this stuff, right? So if I think it's the A climate group, I'm going to ignore everything down there and I'm just going to look at here. So if I have the A climate group to begin with, or the C, or the D, my next letter is going to be F, M, W, or S, okay, based on, precipitation stuff. Is it monsoonal? Is it dry in the winter, rains in the summer? That kind of stuff. Okay, if I decided it's B, right, I'm going to ignore this. Instead, all right, get rid of this stuff, don't look at this stuff, simply look at B right here, and it's going to be a BW if it meets the criteria right there, or a BS if it meets the criteria there, right? And I'll ignore all of this other stuff. If it's E, it's going to have either a T or an F. If it's H, cool, you're done, because it doesn't get any extra letter, right? So, so you're going to go through here, figure that out, and then on the back, it's the third step. So again, A, C, or D, you picked one of those other ones in the front, right? An F or an S or whatever. Now you're going to pick your third letter, A, B, C, or D, right? If you picked B, it was either BW or BS, and then your final letter is going to be either H or K, all right? And this one here too, that average annual temperature, that, so if we go back here, is what we're dealing with right there, that 61.6, right? That's our average annual temperature, okay, which is referenced here, might be referenced elsewhere, so just keep that in mind, okay? So whatever you think it is, whatever that Kirpin classification is, work through the flow chart and then write it out here. And just so you guys know, this is what I'm grading, okay? So take the time. I'm really going to be going through here quickly, and you either figure this out or you don't, right? But you'll lose points if this is wrong, but also, if you're thinking, well, I'll skip the other stuff and just do this, there's a good chance this will be wrong, or it's going to be a lot harder to get this if you don't do this other stuff to start with. Right? Does that make sense? Hopefully. So keep that in mind. And then once you've done that one, you're going to flip the page. You're going to continue on. You're going to have a handful of these things to do. So that was Palmdale. Here we have beautiful Bakersfield, California. Do the same thing, except now you've actually got to plot in your temperature and your precipitation data. But this isn't, we're not doing anything, crazy difficult here. It's your normal daily. You're going to plot that and will most likely, for a lot of these California ones, look like a bell curve in some capacity. And then for the precipitation, you're just doing that bar graph down here at the bottom. All right? And you do that, and you do it for a handful of other cities, and then at the end, you're going to plot this stuff on a map and try to, just generalize what California climates are like, right? Do you see more deserts in one location, or more rainfall in one location, or colder temperatures in a location, or whatever? And that's at the very end. But once you've actually mapped in these climates, shouldn't be that big a deal. Okay? Best of luck, geographers. I believe in you. As always, let me know if you have any trouble with this stuff. Good luck.